So I want to talk about plant-based diets, or just like plant-based eating. Um, well, I believe it's just like TLDR is just the right ethical position, and basically it flows from any kind of humanistic ethics or any kind of like well, basically multiple ethical perspectives that are popular. I believe that just not eating animals kinda flows from them, but it's just like people don't make this connection usually. But anyway, that's not the main subject I want to talk about. It's more that I'm interested in rambling a lot. But anyway, no, I want to talk about the. Hold on a second. Actually, focus on the road now. So yeah, no, I wanted to talk about this kind of interesting, I don't know, meta-ethical phenomenon that I observe with veganism and plant-based eating, but more particularly veganism as a specific ideology built around this kind of like plant-based eating, right? And just like plant-based lifestyle, because it's not just eating, it's just consuming, or like wearing clothes and all this stuff. So anyway, I think it's the phenomenon I want to talk about is like how some vegans, despite like just being right morally, like or like ethically, they are also like just unsufferable people. And and yeah, and I think it's applicable in many other situations. But I think in some ways veganism is good example, at least for me, because for me it's like extremely clearly this is just like the right position in my ethical perspective. It's like no two questions about that. Um, but at the same time, I'm like so repelled from this subculture built around it. And I'm not talking about now all of veganism, because it's like quite a wide phenomenon. But I'm more talking about this kind of militant strain of it. And I mean, I don't think every person who is like a militant vegan for me would be repellent automatically. But there is this theme in like online content, I guess, that I came across that was militantly vegan, and we can mix it up with a couple of people I know, but maybe one or two, so not like a large group. And I know a lot of meatless people. So yeah, I think it's like yeah, it is pretty interesting. Just like from observations, even though yeah, it may like piss me off when I come across this kind of interactions. It's like as a phenomenon, it's just like very interesting thing to think about, because like I agree with the ethical premise, but I feel repelled from this kind of activity surrounded it, it's like, I think it's a lot of the kind of, I want to just link it with this performative morality, I guess, yeah. So it also kind of links up with propheticity, which is like a whole other subject. But anyway, you want to perform kind of moral act to show that you are a good believer in whatever you believe. So you basically, in our state, you can choose whatever you believe in, as long as like it's within the acceptable norms, right? And then there is like this implicit expectation that you will perform this at your best or whatever. So yeah, I think when it meets with veganism, it creates this kind of weird tension, because in some ways veganism is kind of straightforward and very understandable in our culture, but on the other hand it's very alien to any specific culture. So it is like kind of typically Western modern thing, and I'm not now speaking about the specific veganism that we know. I know that there were like plant-based diets before and so on, but this specific thing. At the same time, all the Western cultures, like the kind of European or like settler colonial European nations, they all are they all are very much meat eaters, right? And that's like that's the base for this tension, right? I think because it's like in the, again, going back to the Western culture as a whole, that veganism is part of like the larger structure, which is also like more modern, because it wasn't so clearly defined, I don't know, 50, 70 or 100 years ago. But now it's, or even like maybe 30 years ago. Okay, I guess it was already kind of crystallized 30 years ago. But anyway, I'm talking about this association of vegan or vegetarian diets with wildly left-wing or like progressive political persuasions, and this kind of mixes up with this this is just like really rambly video. I may upload 1 minute substitute instead of what I have. I'll keep talking anyway. I'm not shutting it down before I stop, so why not keep talking? So there is this tension where it's like very much a part of this nebulous wider identity of the West or whatever, while at the same time it's foreign to all the traditional Western cultures. Like you have to go really way back. Like there will be Christian vegetarianism, I guess, in some ways, but it's more like fasting and this kind of stuff, not like the Indian perspective where it's religious for not killing these animals. It's just more like in Christian, it's religious for like just not spoiling yourself with meat, right? So it's a very different perspective. You have to go to pre-Christian traditions, and even there it's very rare. So I think it's like maybe most prominent would be Pythagoreans, but they had quite weird perspective for their contemporaries even. So yeah, it's there's this clash. It's this alien cosmopolitan thing, but it's also like kind of prominent and like thing of our times within this kind of cosmopolitan side of this global hegemonic culture, right? Because that's another thing. It's like this is European, post-European culture, but it's global hegemon now, right? So it's kind of imposes itself, let's say, on Poland as much as it imposes itself on Southern Korea, right? That's another thing. It is European by its roots, like Western European by its roots, but it's kind of projects everywhere around the world, and yeah, and that's like it's why it's so poignant part of culture war, I guess. But yeah, this is now the external perspective. For the vegan, it's very different, and then I think much more empathetic, understanding to this perspective, because as I said, for me, this is the right moral perspective, not to kill in order to eat if you don't have to, right? So yeah, so that's not like very much a cultural thing. It's like life and death, but that's another thing with a lot of the culture more like the wider understanding, because abortion is not a culture thing, right? It's a medical procedure, and this is like very like sometimes life-saving and very life-changing, always, like to have the access to it or not. So yeah, anyway, with meat eating, right? So for people outside, not like meat eaters, it's just like cultural thing. So I think at best it's like dietary choice is not even culture. But yeah, like I think they can comprehend it on a cultural level. Like, oh, you don't eat meat here, or oh, you don't eat cows here, but you don't eat that or whatever. But it's just like because it's so dominant way to live. Like just nobody thinks about it in ethical dimensions. Like maybe ethical dimensions to a degree, like unnecessary something. But just the idea that you have animals, you raise them in order to eat them. That's like just part of what we do, right? But on the other perspective, on the vegan perspective, it's like well, those are like other sentient beings, right? For many vegans, this would claim they don't differentiate on the species base. And I think like it is possible. Like I must again, like say from my perspective, I do differentiate and I do value a human life more. So there's that, but I understand like the people could differentiate differently, and yeah, I get it. Like for example, um, life of your pet or life of a stranger or life of your enemy, right? What do you feel then? And so anyway, I understand this perspective as well, but I think it's very foreign to mainstream culture. So you can feel alienated and you can kind of want to shut down from that. Like you say, oh, if you eat meat, you're not my friend anymore because you're killing all the conscious beings and so on and so on. So I understand this impulse to some degree, but also I just don't buy it a lot of time. I think it's very performative. A lot of times it's like just, oh, I want to show I'm so edgy, I'm so radical, but maybe I don't want to take any like really stepping outside of the status quo political perspective on like economy or other things. So okay, yeah, like this is the thing, and I can be like super radical and show all those people I'm much more cool, rebel or whatever than them because I go against all of the society, right? Or like maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. So yeah. And yeah, I think that's like it's high stakes that some people really feel as high stakes, but some people can easily fake as feeling to be high stakes. This creates this kind of situation where you can really make yourself into this kind of subculture of how it's called, besieged fortress, besieged fortress mentality, and you're the only pure group, and then all the world is evil, and this is very cult mentality, right? Very cult mentality. So yeah, that's what I think why this is so irritating for me whenever I encounter this perspective. But I sympathize with people who get in this mindset if they do really passionately feel about life and well-being of animals. Like I think it's understandable, but it's also it's not only irritating, but it's also not helpful. I believe at least. So okay.